I read a comment on the Rumble channel. Somebody was talking about, we've been talking about all this stuff from back 2000 era, that there was going to be some kind of thing that changed the world. And, they were saying it never happened. I still have to pay my bills month after month, year after
More
year.
expensive.
I know, right? And I was thinking, well, there's been a lot of change and it all happens at once. And kind of, that thing I was talking about the implants and the insurance thing, it's going to be just like a cell phone where one day you'll just notice everyone has it. And then it'll become increasingly hard to do things without it, just like the phone was. And this whole model that we're going to in the US is quite bizarre because they're trying to, you remember when small town America got closed down by the big corporation, by the Walmarts, by the dollar stores. Now those are trying to transition over to don't even come to our store. Or if you do, stay outside, we'll bring it to you. Putting all the liability kind of on you on getting your goods to your house, or they're just going to deliver it. And it's getting so crazy that they're even, like this is the future of business, really.
Sad.
These
So sad, man. I've
the
seen so
drones
many ghost
everywhere.
towns. I live in East Tennessee, and a lot of small towns we drive through are just ghost towns. Yeah, some businesses are coming back, like little boutique antique shops and little coffee shops, like right there. And that's the way they're revitalizing these towns. But it's not like it used to be, where it was really like industrial powerhouses in these small towns. They just like
Well, this is
Hiroshima, these small towns around here.
right. This is the sales pitch end of it, in my opinion. Drones delivering coffee, pizza, goods, like it's all over the place. But this is the reality of it, right? With drones fighting mosquitoes for, everything's going to be turned over to drone control and AI control, even the pandemics. Like I'm sure you've been seeing lots of articles building about this mosquito-borne. I don't even know how to say that. Chikungunya, whatever. I don't know how to say it.
Chikungunya.
Well, they'll drop it down to something
I'm just going to
more
pronounce it the way I can read, like the pinyin. It's chikungunya.
right. Where was
That's my
the
best
spider
pinyin.
drone? So I was looking at this other drone. It's the reality of it. I lost it right here somewhere. But this is kind of where I'm going with this. What do you think? Why do you think we would need a nuclear reactor on the moon to power AI to keep the system going, right? From a place that it'll never be shut down from. There will be no climate activist, complaining about the massive amounts of power they're using or none of that. It's not going to go up there. So like a satellite system, this thing is expanding off of Earth, and it's getting kind
Well,
of
they
really
need a way to
spooky here.
transmit the information back down to Earth, though. That's another thing. Like, what high-tech devices do they have? You can use Starlink now, and that's great and everything. And if satellites go down, or internet goes down, you can still do transactions on the blockchain. But if you're going to roll up to the moon, like, that's a serious distance back down here.
Right. But, if AI slowly pushes out media, which is happening, here's a title right here of this article: AI search pushing an already weakened media ecosystem to the brink. AI is replacing all of these things. It's where we get our information from. And then it'll be easy to transition to other topics where there's really only one voice, one authority behind it. Here's this, what I was talking about earlier in the show. Open the X Files. Trump's top U.S. intelligence chief says she believes in aliens and vows to share the truth on UFOs. Right. And then you have this thing rocketing towards Earth where people have been rumoring for years that a ship is just going to show up. But really, down here on the Earth, things that we predicted are happening. So where's this other one about the there it is. Federal judge strikes down California's unconstitutional deepfake law. Now, do you think this is to protect you against misinformation or disinformation? No, I don't think it is. I think it's because, like I said, everybody is being turned over to the AI, including your government. Right here, a politician made an AI clone of himself. The outrage was real. So basically, he just made somebody to interact with everybody. So, all of those accounts you see, you think you're really telling the politician something. You're most likely talking to a bot that they've hired, because that will be the new ministry of truth. The AI backed up by, this massive AI network of information where they control it, all the way to the point that when we're out, the last little traces of you will be an AI tool that writes about you when you die. So it'll tell you what you were about. But the whole thing is like this. This is where all information is going. It's being basically put into a monopoly. And I was trying to find this one while you kind of respond to that. I was looking for this article. So there was this new drone that China has. I can't find it for some reason. Um, but anyway, it was a drone that's like a little spider. You remember you were talking about the spider a few videos back that was doing the farming. It would come up in there and do that. Well, this
Yeah,
is
now if I could explain, it was multiple appendages where this thing actually went along like a spider, and the front two appendages were with lasers, so they could go on either side of the row, and then they could, hit the weeds with whatever high heat and destroy the weeds. And then in the second appendage, they had different, they pulled something behind it. It was like a little cart, but it had herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, and rodenticides in there. I don't know if it was really rodenticide, but I saw rodenticide earlier in that article you were talking about. So I'm sure it would be included. But I know they had fungicides, herbicides, and these sort of things to hit. And when you're going through an area and you're throwing an herbicide down, generally you're trying not to kill all the target species that you want to grow. But if you're that refined where AI can go in and put like literally one drop on a weed it had already zapped or something, that point, this is where you get into micromanagement. But these robots, as you would think micromanagement, like, oh, that takes so long for them to go down the rows and like hit one. They were actually walking like we were, and they cleared an entire row as fast. Well, I would say about half the speed as a human would walk, but everything was done in those rows that would take us how many multiple hours to pull the weeds out of there. This thing just went along and just went along. And then they had an extendable arm on the third arm that could come up and like clip, say, dead leaves off and pull them down and things. These were in the middle of the rows, and they looked very much like spiders, like you're talking about. Scary, even. If I hadn't seen those things, I would really be, coming across, driving across the field somewhere, or out west, or any other place. You come and you see like 100 of those out in the fields. I'd be like, oh my gosh, we just got invaded here. That was a moth on my face.
right, and that's exactly my point. Because
Moths love me.
just like that little spider robot can do better, faster work than a human, the same goes for killing and colonizing. For some reason, the picture won't.
Black Mirror had an episode of these same types of robots, didn't they?
Right. For some reason, the picture won't show up, but it's
the same thing. It looks very like crouched down and kind of
right.
thing. Yeah.
And this thing can be. Let's see. How do you put that? They can send thousands of these things into a city. And the one that they're specifically talking about here is a Chinese model drone that fires missiles. It can go underwater, so it's a submersible. So basically, they drop it off from a ship. You could drop off 100, 10 of them, 1,000 of them, whatever you wanted. They go in the water, they show up on the shore, they start crawling on the shore, and they can shoot missiles off their back. And it's funny because it wasn't less than a decade ago when we first started doing the show with you, that I was talking about. Watch, they're going to turn this dog, they're going to put a gun on it, and that'll be the next thing. And then some
They
kid
introduced it as so soft. It's Spot. It's a yellow.
Right.
It's a yellow, cute dog. It's Spot.
And then, they denied it. All the companies denied it. We would never use our robots for these things.
Never.
And then some kid bought one and he put a Nerf gun on it and he showed exactly what I was talking about. And it wasn't but a year later, after that video went viral, that all of the military and industrial complex things started showing their new robots. And that's exactly what they were these dogs. But these that you saw are already outdated, obsolete. The new stuff that they got moves really fast. So these little things can crawl into a city, shoot missiles, they can mount guns on them. It's really getting crazy, the amount of stuff that they're doing. But we're going to need all of it for the aliens.
The obvious question, are you on shrooms? Illuminated shrooms, combining 6 powerful mycelium and a fulvic mineral delivery system, selected for their synergistic, restorative, and protective actions. Potent. And please remember, ladies and gentlemen, every purchase you make helps keep this podcast on air. So please remember, that link's in the description box below. And are you shrooming?
Right?
Yeah, let me
You're
see if
not
I
going
can
to be.
send you one. Why are you doing that? Because the whole thing is, these are like you're talking about with Starlink. If we get an EMP or something off the sun and all the Starlink satellites go down, they can just boot an enormous amount back up again in just a few months. If the deep underground bases are true and they have Faraday cages across all that technology, then if we get an EMP, something very large like a Carrington event, like an X 22, 42, 52, 100, whatever it would be at that magnitude, most everything would be fried here. But then with Starlink and that sort of thing, all those disposable satellites, they could pop them back up there in a second, just like these robots. They're all disposable. So once they come ashore, they're disposable. They're meant to get ruined and broken and fought against and thing. They're just like one wave after another wave. They're disposable. They're not meant to last. They're disposable. Great. It can cross across sand, get all gouged up in the bearings and what, it doesn't matter. As long as it lasts 36 hours to do its purpose, that's fine. And that's the way they're looking at this. It's not about longevity. Oh, we need this thing needed to last for 20 years or something. It gets into the battle. It does this thing. It's gone, gets blown up, mortars coming in on it, whatever, people shooting at it. Doesn't matter. It's just as long as it's done and then it accomplishes the mission. That's all it is. And let me send you this video because I have one that will scare. You will not sleep tonight when I send you this robotic video. So Ransom, please take the show here for a second while I get you this video.
Yeah, it's funny because I searched through these articles and I think that the spider scared people too much because they removed the imagery of it and now they're showing these old dogs and these old drones and stuff. It is so much further than that now, and they're going to have a unified network of control over all of the stuff. So it's not going to be long. I'm sure you've seen Elysium, that movie Elysium, where they had all the robot dogs and police that were men type humanoid robots, and they were just as mean as any police. It's absolute, do what I say, or you get beat down by the robot. And then they showed like Chappie. They had the police robot police humanoid people. That's exactly where it's going to go. So I keep saying it's going to go. It's already there. So all we need is the spark of an international war, and then it'll be on, where all you will see is a robotic war that only has casualties, not really in the soldier department, but more in the civilian aspect of things.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying. It's on Zero Hedge. I want to find this thing for you because when I saw it, it was absolutely ridiculously annoying, or my brain couldn't wrap around what I saw in terms of this robot that was moving through. Like if you want to check on Zero, I'm trying to find it for you. So just throw on another article while I look through. I'm going to find this for you and I'm going to send you the link, and please show this because, by the time you even realize how far you're explaining the same exact thing, like these robots that we're looking at right now that they're showing you in the cutesy type of thing, and they're doing parkour and thing. This is so far behind what the technology really is. And this technology that they're allowing us to see publicly here is so terrifying that there's no way to escape this. If they send it on to you or send it on to,
Oh yeah, it flies too. It walks, it swims,
it
it
walks, it
flies.
crawls, it grinds, it goes uphill, downhill, it can go up steps, it can go across ice, it can go across sand, scree slopes. It doesn't matter. This thing is like literally an unstoppable. I don't know how you would, you'd have to aim for some sort of junction point. I've seen a few people that, when Spot first came out, they showed where the vulnerability points were. If you had an AR, that you could take out some of these points where, some of these, XYZ axes were that you could take that out if you were a good shot, that you could take out one of the robots. But now they've all been super hardened with carbon fiber steel and thing. It's going to be,
Get a little
oh, wait, here it
titanium,
is.
some Kevlar.
They call it the Stellar Hunter. And you're absolutely gonna piss yourself when you see this, and I kid you not. So let me send you the link, Ransom. If you could, you know what? Let me grab the screen here, and I'm gonna put it up myself, if you don't mind.
No, of course not.
Save the middleman. Here we go. Hunted. Are you where? This is our future here. So, this little robot right here that you see, right? This was in the Black Mirror episode that they were talking about. Okay. If you ever seen that Black Mirror, I highly encourage anybody to watch this, because it was the end of the world thing, and they went into a warehouse, and these things were protecting all the goods in the warehouse. And this came hunting everybody, and they found all these different places where the things had been prior. Okay, ready? Here we go. I'm hoping it's still live. Oh, there it is. I'm going to expand it out live here to you. And this is in real time what these robots can do. They can balance like this, and they're just kind of showing off what these things can do. Company's called Unitree. Now, I thought at first some of this was AI generated, but when you start to see how this thing moves in real time on the grass and on the ground right there, when it comes in and do you think this is an AI generated image and video? That's my question, because are they trying to psyop us into thinking that these things are so real, so advanced that they can do this? But they're coming down such steep slopes at such ridiculous speeds. The metals on this thing too, like you have to think about what types of alloys would be involved with this, and what is the production cost for this with such alloys. But this thing could climb up the Great Pyramid of Egypt and meet you at the top. This is the thing also. Maybe not at a 5 or 6 foot span, but they're already up at 3 feet. And look at this thing coming down steps so quickly. Now, is this AI generated? This is the whole thing. Is this an AI generated video to scare you, or is this real? Because in this world, we just don't know. But the speed at this thing, you're never, ever in your wildest dream going to outrun this. And they've got LiDAR and different types of like night vision and thermal scopes and this thing. You're never, ever, ever going to get rid of these things. You're going to need an handheld EMP device that blasts this with an EMP. There's no conventional going against this thing.
You see this little thing right here? This is an old school Chinese DJI or DJI.
Yeah,
it goes
DJI,
42 miles an hour.
That.
It goes 42 miles an hour, this thing. So you could add anything you wanted to this, and it becomes a lethal device immediately. And this is kind of what we're going to have to deal with, because they are changing all the industries over to this. This is another one. United blames technology disruption for 1,000+ flight delays. So we know that not only the air traffic controlling system, but the planes themselves are all going to be turned over to AI, because humans are not trustworthy enough to run this stuff. And here's this. I watched it. Well, if I can get rid of that.
Never see the box again. Okay. We'll never see it. Bye-bye.
I watched the interview with James Cameron, and then I saw this article right here where it says James Cameron warns of Terminator-style apocalypse if AI is weaponized. And the claim is if it's weaponized. Now, in the interview, he did more than just talk about, the fantastical idea of robots, hunting or killing humans, or even hunting and fighting each other. But he also was talking about the fact that he cannot write anymore. that the AI is so powerful now that he's struggling to come up with new things to show public because the technology has now surpassed their ability to make up fictional ideas. It's already past that. So everything under the sun that's possible has already been shown in an AI movie to the point where they don't even know where it's going. They're having trouble coming up with ideas because they're competing with reality that already exists. And then this one, scientists want to prevent AI from going rogue by teaching it to do bad things first. It's almost the same idea is, releasing a disease out because you have the cure for it. So we want to, disrupt the whole world by seeing how bad the AI can go so that we supposedly can control it.
Please remember civilizationcycle.com and also buy me a coffee /civilization cycle.